It finally happened. Damian Lillard is no longer a Portland Trailblazer. The deal is done. Why it is ultimately a good thing for the Orlando Magic. Plus, the long-awaited backup power forward episode of Locked On Magic. It is time for Locked On Magic. I said that too many times. Let's do it.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is September 28th, 2023. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, Damian Lillard is traded at long last. The saga is over. The Orlando Magic were not involved, but where he ended up going, the Milwaukee Bucks, spoiler alert, it's actually a good thing for the Magic. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. Plus, we'll talk about the backup power forward situation for the Orlando Magic. One of the more interesting little battles we'll see during training camp. But before we get to that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for. The Locked On Podcast Network, it's your team every day. I am contractually obligated to talk about the Damian Lillard trade now that it is officially done. The last big piece of summer business is done, although it may not be completely done. There's Drew Holiday kind of hanging around now. This 3-team trade may expand to a 4-team trade very, very quickly. But the nuts and bolts of it, Damian Lillard is heading to the Milwaukee Bucks to pair with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Drew Holiday is heading to the Portland Trailblazers. DeAndre Ayton is heading from Phoenix to Portland. And Yusuf Nurkic, along with Grayson Allen and OC Orlando Christian Prep alum Nasir Little, are heading to Phoenix in a 3-team blockbuster trade that solves the final piece of this summer puzzle. We've been talking a lot about Damian Lillard stuff over the last couple of days. The momentum for a trade has been building for a little while. And Magic fans online were predictably very happy, mostly because he didn't end up with the Miami Heat, Magic's arch nemesis, arch rival, a team that, yes, made the NBA Finals last year, but was the 8th seed. A team that, lost a lot of players from last year's roster and would have to fight for a playoff spot. When I saw this Damian Lillard trade come down, I first said, A, thank God it's finally done. B, good job, Milwaukee. Giannis laid down the gauntlet, said, hey, get me some help. Keep us championship contenders. Milwaukee did that. Congratulations, Milwaukee. I'm all for small markets keeping their stars. And so that's a good thing. This just came down to the best team in the East got better. But more importantly for the Orlando Magic, A, they didn't get involved, which I think was ultimately the right decision. In any capacity, as a 3rd team or anything, just Magic did not need to have their hands over this. They got their group. They're happy with their group. They like their group. They want to see what their group can do. We're going to stick with them. But more importantly, none of the Magic's competition got Damian Lillard. Over the last few days, it's obviously been the Miami Heat, like I said, 8th seed last year, lost a lot from last year's team. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were last year. I think they're still clearly a playoff team, but they lost a lot from last year. They lost Omer Yurtseven. They lost Max Strus. They lost Gabe Vincent. They lost a lot of pieces from last year's team, trying to make sure they had the room to get a Damian Lillard. And when you think about it, there are only 10 spots in the postseason. 8 spots in the playoffs, 10 spots in the postseason. It is going to be super competitive anyway. And Orlando obviously made this choice to focus on internal growth and internal development. And so the last thing the Magic needed is a team that is in this group fighting for a playoff spot, or a team that had a playoff spot last year, to get a guy like Damian Lillard and and really clinch their spot in there. In order for Orlando to make the playoffs next year, someone's got to miss out. And so the Magic are winners of the Damian Lillard trade because a team that is competing for something different. Milwaukee's competing for a championship. Orlando's competing to get in the play-in tournament, get in the postseason in general. Let's not pretend we are in the same competition as Milwaukee. That's okay. That's fine. We're going to get there. But right now, the Magic's goal is to level up, get into the postseason, experience postseason basketball, and figure out if this team can actually compete at that higher level. Milwaukee's goals, Milwaukee's aims, before even Damian Lillard, what Milwaukee was trying to do and trying to accomplish is not the same as Orlando. And so now one of Orlando's chief competitors, or now two of Orlando's chief competitors, struck out on this deal. Because if it wasn't going to be Miami, Toronto was the going favorite throughout the week. And Toronto is one of the teams that I very much have pegged as a team that's going to lose out on the playoffs this year. You look at the teams in the play-in tournament: Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, Toronto. I'll go ahead and throw Brooklyn in at 6, although I think Brooklyn's going to be better than people think. If Ben Simmons is as healthy as they say, Brooklyn's going to be pretty good. But Orlando's in that tier. Orlando's competing with those teams. And guess what? Along with Indiana, 2 of those teams aren't making the playoffs this year. Like, this is a serious thing. For the Magic to make the playoffs, someone's going to fall out. Who in the East is going to be that team? Atlanta, I think, got worse. Toronto definitely got worse. Indiana got... Chicago's Chicago. Orlando's got its work cut out for it. It's not a guarantee Orlando makes the playoffs. It is our expectation, is what we believe will happen. But it's not a guarantee. They need one of these teams to fall out. And Toronto, if they would have gotten Dame Lillard, like I said throughout this whole process, Damian Lillard is the kind of player that raises you up a notch. Takes you from play-in team to playoff team, from playoff team to championship team. That's what was on the line here. And if Miami had gotten him, again, I think Miami's probably going to be in the playoffs anyway, but Miami would have cinched their spot. If Brooklyn or Toronto would have gotten him, they would have cinched their spot. Instead, Damian Lillard went to a championship contender. Went to a team that didn't need him to accomplish what the Magic are trying to accomplish. Milwaukee needed him probably to win a championship. Like, go listen to Locked On Bucks. Listen to what they have to say about it. They needed him. But what the Magic are trying to accomplish this year is to make the playoffs. And so in that sense, Orlando, I think, is a winner here. Because if they were going to get Damian Lillard, which they weren't, they needed to luck out and make sure that their chief competition didn't either. Now the Magic don't have to worry. Or maybe they do, because Drew Holiday is still hanging out there. Now the Magic don't have to worry about one of these peers, one of these competitors for their playoff spot getting in again. They don't have to worry about it now. Now they can focus on themselves, their improvement, their competition, taking care of their business, and seeing if they can make the playoffs altogether. A big question mark for the Orlando Magic is at power forward. It's not Paolo Banchero. It's the backup spot. Where will the Magic turn for backup power forward help? We're going to talk about what to expect from Jonathan Isaac and Joe Ingles this season. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word from our friends over at DoorDash. Did you burn your last piece of toast? Have the avocados gone bad? That's happened to me. Or is the hot sauce bottle empty? Well, get a refill on all of it and try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it, right to your door. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites, and now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers too. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or DoorDash will make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them yourself. Want even more value? You can save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer support, DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want it. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONNBA at checkout. Limited time offer, terms do apply. That's 50% off up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKEDONNBA. Don't forget that's code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. So I've been planning this episode for a while. I wanted to do more player outlooks and start thinking about the roster because guess what? Training camp starts Tuesday. Media day is Monday. We got two more episodes after this before we're talking to the players and in the mud. It won't be that muddy quite yet. It's going to get muddy by January, but we're going to be in it very, 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 very soon. And so I wanted to just kind of go through the roster and talk about some of the big storylines that we expect to have, especially as we get ready for training camp. And if you've listened to me, one big concern I do have about this Magic team is its size. I think the center position is probably, Wendell Carter and Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are all great players. The forward positions are really well set in the front in the starting lineup. Off the bench, though, and the depth, that's what concerns me. And we'll maybe do the backup centers tomorrow. We'll talk Wendell Carter, or we'll do the whole center position tomorrow. We'll talk Wendell Carter. We'll talk Mo Wagner. We'll talk Goga Bitadze on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. But the forward position's also a bit up in the air. Now, I want to put a caveat on this. I want to put a warning sign on this. The Magic fudge positions. There are no positions. Are the Magic going to play small with Paolo at the center sometimes? Sure, they could. Are the Magic going to try Jet Howard at the four sometimes? Sure, they could. They could put Caleb Houston there. We'll talk about Joe Ingles in our second segment. But at the end of the day, the philosophy that this Magic team has about playing versatile, playing with versatility, playing with, interchanging players, a lot of it relies on the kind of player that Jonathan Isaac is. And perhaps the biggest risk the Magic are taking this season is that Jonathan Isaac is the clear backup power forward. That this Magic team needs Jonathan Isaac to play. And look, he's played 11 games in 3 seasons. This is worse than Grant Hill levels, and I'm a big Grant Hill guy. This is a big, big risk. And look, Grant Hill got healthy eventually. Like Grant Hill played for the last, he missed the whole T-Mac era, played 2 of his last 3 seasons in Orlando and played well. And then obviously went to Phoenix and played well and still had a very nice career after he left Orlando. But the Magic this year are leaning very heavily on Jonathan Isaac. And obviously everything from last year was the smallest of sample size, not just 11 games, but about 12 minutes per game in those 11 appearances. Playing mostly with bench groups, playing 6-minute spurts. The Magic were really strong defensively with him on the court. There's no doubt about that. He looked every bit as good defensively as he did before his initial injury. He's an impactful defensive player. There's no denying that. But the question with Jonathan Isaac is, again, can he get through the season? We don't even really know what the restrictions might be on him. Will there be any restrictions? Will he be playing back-to-backs? Will he be playing will he have a minute restriction? We don't know, because guess what? He's played 11 games in 3 years. He has not gone through the grinder of an NBA season. He's not gone through 4 games in 6 nights, or 4 and 5, or 6 games in 9 nights, or whatever it is. I don't think they do those anymore. 6 games in 12 nights, whatever. He has not gone through the grinder of an 82 game season since 2020, since 2019, 4 years ago. And nobody really knows how he's going to respond. But the Magic have kept with Jonathan Isaac. And look, the Magic have kept with Jonathan Isaac because that potential is still there. Because he looks that those 11 games that he played last year, he still looked like he could impact the game defensively. He looked strong and confident offensively. And sure, these were quick bursts. He burned off his energy real fast. But he still is an incredibly talented and incredibly impactful player. By all accounts and reports, there are some photos of him on the Magic's social media pages as the Magic do their preseason workouts. By all accounts, Jonathan Isaac is fully healthy. The minor hamstring injury that he had is done. He's recovered from it. He's back on the court. He's doing basketball things. There is no indication that he will be limited in any way, for at least beyond what he was already, whatever his previous limits were. There is no indication that he is not going to be full go for training camp. There's no indication that he is anything other than healthy. And, again, that just makes things interesting. But I will not blame you for being skeptical. I will not blame you for thinking, is he really going to be healthy this time? Because that's the problem. And look, the Magic are going to do some fun lineups. I don't think we saw Isaac Banchero and Franz Wagner together at all last year. We saw Isaac and Banchero play for about 50 minutes total. I don't think we ever saw Isaac and Franz play together. We will see almost certainly an Isaac Banchero-Franz lineup. I will be disappointed, or I will accept that Isaac is injured. I will be disappointed if Isaac is healthy and that is not something that's in the rotation for the Magic. That's not something they at least try. I want to see it in preseason. We got Zion coming up that first preseason game against the Pelicans. He's supposedly healthy. Let's roll with it. Although I don't know if I want Isaac dealing with Zion and his physicality quite yet. But this is the problem. We don't know if Isaac can do it. And look, he may end up playing 65, 67 games this season, and that'll be proof enough that, yeah, he can make it. He can still play. But at this point, we don't know. And that's what we're going to try and figure out. That's what we're going to try and see. It's going to have to be something that gets determined really early, because this is the other problem with how the Magic built their roster. And maybe this is on purpose. Maybe this is the philosophy. The Magic don't have any other kind of rangy athletic wings in the style of a Paolo or Franz other than Jonathan Isaac. If there are injury issues, that power forward position is going to be platooned by players who are not typically power forwards. We're going to talk about those guys coming up here in just a moment. The Magic's big free agent signing this offseason was Joe Ingles. Not exactly someone that is going to get you super excited. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, oh, yeah, like it is what it is. Joe Ingles is a really good player. He's a really good veteran. He's going to fill this critical need for the Orlando Magic to be a good three-point shooter. Last season in 45 games, he shot 40.9% from the arc, 39% on catch-and-shoot three-pointers, and 46.9% on pull-up three-pointers. Again, that's with Giannis, so take it for what it is. Even in his limited minutes, he still put up 4 three-pointers per game, which would put him among the top players in three-point field goals for this Magic team. He's going to help this Magic team increase their three-point volume and just help spread the floor a little bit. And that's Really interesting. But Joe Ingles, according to Basketball Reference, has spent 45% of his minutes at power forward. So he's a forward. He's going to flip between the two forward spots. He's not like an overly imposing physical presence, but he's just a smart basketball player. He knows how to run a pick and roll as a ball handler, even though he's not super athletic. He can get in the paint and use space really well. He's an incredibly underrated passer. He's the kind of guy that the Magic can have their point guard bring the ball up, give Ingles the ball at the top of the key, and he's going to run things, and he's going to get you a good shot. But this is the kind of underlying question. The Magic want to stretch four. They got one in Joe Ingles. Caleb Houston might be playing some four. Jet Howard played some four in Summer League. Are the Magic going to be able to match up size-wise? Are the Magic, is that even a concern? Are the Magic going to be able to rebound effectively? Because Mo Wagner is not the greatest rebounder in the world. There's just a lot of questions that I have. And, maybe the Magic are, in this sense, embracing true stretch five out basketball. Maybe this is the Magic's answer. It's saying, okay, we need to get more shooting on the floor. Our power forward spot's going to be a shooter. Isaac shot 40% on 6 for 15 on threes last year. He's an improving three-point shooter. I'm not taking any of his numbers last year as gospel. But between Houston, Howard, and Ingles, Orlando has 3 stretch 4 options. And look, Franz Wagner is going to get a lot of minutes as the backup 4-2. So it's not that this pressing of a concern. I always concern about depth and injuries because that's been the Magic story for the last 3 years. But Ingles is just going to be a stretch 4, essentially. And that's kind of the role I see him play. For 12 to 15 minutes per game, he's going to be out there creating some gravity as a three-point shooter. But what's going to happen when they face the bigger teams? Now, do they go Mo Wagner, go Batadze? Because Wagner can shoot a little bit, especially for center. Wagner's played a lot of power forward, although not at all last year. I think it's about a third of his minutes at power forward in his career, or at least in his Magic career. This is both this is the conundrum, but this is also part of the fun. That Jamal Mosley can make these really fun, funky lineups, or can, he has these tools that there are weaknesses to every lineup, obviously. But he has the flexibility to do a bunch of these things. And that's not even getting to Chuma Okeke, who, if Chuma Okeke is healthy, can maybe put some pieces together because he is an excellent defender and a disruptive defender, but a highly inconsistent three-point shooter. And some of that's just been injuries that have just eaten him up a little bit. There will be a Chuma Okeke game this year. I have no doubt about that. It'll probably be against Golden State because it's always against Golden State. But this power forward position this is what's going to determine what kind of team the Magic are and the style that they play on any particular game. Because they could go big. Put Mo Wagner there, play him alongside Goga Bitadze, put Wendell Carter with Mo Wagner. They can go big. They can go rangy with Isaac or Okeke. Or they could go small with a stretch 4, a guy who's maybe not a traditional power forward, but can play the 4 in the modern game. It's exciting to think about these possibilities, but it's also scary because so much is unknown. I do think Isaac's the backup power forward, and I think the Magic want to kind of keep that same versatile look. I also think that Ingles is going to get a lot of minutes at power forward this year, and a lot of minutes as that kind of stretch wing, that stretch 4. And we'll see if that gamble pays off and if whether this is a need the Magic need to address sooner rather than later. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of them is still on podcast to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow me on Twitter there at OMagicDaily. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out Orlando Magic Daily again. And also check out the Orlando Magic Hub, my Patreon page. You can find a link to that at PhilipRR on my Twitter page at PhilipRR_OMD, or by going to patreon.com and searching for Orlando Magic Hub, posting a lot of player profiles and outlooks there as we get ready for the season to start. Definitely check out the content there. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, it's been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.